It was one of those mornings that felt like it would be nothing but ordinary, the kind of day where airports buzz with the smell of coffee and impatience. A man in his 50s moved through the security line at Baltimore Washington International, his baseball cap low, his steps slow, almost weary. His name, according to his driver's license, was Marcus Bennett, just another traveler heading home after a long business trip, or at least that's what it looked like. Marcus had spent the past 3 weeks sleeping in safe houses across Europe, switching hotel rooms, swapping phones, memorizing faces and voices. 15 years of undercover work had made him a ghost. He was used to being invisible, but that morning, for the first time in a long time, someone saw him. Officer Ryan Hale leaned against the security podium, scanning travelers with a predator's gaze. 8 years of airport security had given him a swagger and a belief he could smell trouble before it even got in line. He saw Marcus and didn't see a tired businessman. He saw a mystery, and mysteries made him nervous. "Charlie, I got a guy here," Hale muttered into his radio. "Black male cap, backpack. Something about him's off." Marcus felt it before he saw it, the prickle at the back of his neck, that unmistakable sense of being watched. He'd survived ambushes in alleys and shootouts in safe houses because of that instinct. He tilted his head just enough to scan the crowd, and there was Hale, his stare locked like a loaded gun. Marcus stayed calm the way years of training had taught him. Option 1, ignore it, stay in character. Option 2, create a distraction and slip away. Option 3, prepare for confrontation. He exhaled slowly, picked option 1 and shuffled forward with the line. "Sir, I'm talking to you." Hale's voice cut through the hum of the terminal. "With the cap, step aside." Marcus turned polite and unbothered. "Yes, Officer ID." Hale's hand rested near his holster, not in a threat, but as if he wanted everyone watching to know who was in charge. Marcus handed him his license, real name, fake life. Marcus Bennett, business consultant, Arlington, Virginia. The ID was flawless, the backstory airtight, but Hale's eyes gleamed like a hunter who thought he had found prey. "Step over here. We're going to need some additional screening." Marcus's stomach dropped, not with fear, but with the heavy realization that this wasn't just a routine check. Additional screening meant isolation questions, delays, and his entire cover story at risk. He was already imagining headlines if things went wrong. "Suspicious man detained at airport." He couldn't let that happen. "Of course," Officer Marcus said evenly, his voice calm enough to irritate Hale. "Follow me." As they walked across the terminal, travelers stared, cameras came out. A teenage girl whispered to her friend, "Oh my God, he's being arrested." The optics were already spiraling. The security office was as bland and cold as Marcus expected. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead, the kind of place designed to make people sweat. Hale gestured to a cracked plastic chair. "Sit." Marcus obeyed, hands flat on the table, posture open. He'd interrogated enough suspects in his life to know what made someone look guilty. Bag on the table, Marcus slid his backpack over, calm and deliberate. Inside were only carefully selected items. Laptop charger, a paperback novel, boarding pass. Nothing that tied him to the network of operatives and safe houses he'd left behind. Hale searched with exaggerated care, like he wanted Marcus to twitch. "What's your business in Atlanta consulting?" "What kind of consulting? Operational efficiency?" Hale narrowed his eyes. "Uh-huh. You're awful calm for someone in a security office. Would you prefer I panic?" That hint of dry humor made Hale's jaw tighten. "Password for the laptop." "No, sir. That contains confidential client data. You'll need a warrant for that." It was the wrong answer. Hale leaned in close, his voice sharp. "You're being uncooperative." "That's interesting." The door opened and a woman in a TSA uniform stepped in. Supervisor Dana Kelly, mid-40s, tired eyes that had seen too many false alarms. "What's the story?" she asked. "Suspicious behavior," Hale snapped. "Expensive gear that doesn't match his look. Won't unlock his laptop." Kelly studied Marcus. "Sir, we're just doing our job. Please cooperate." "I've done everything asked of me," Marcus replied smoothly. "I've answered questions, handed over ID, allowed my bag to be searched. I'm simply protecting proprietary business data." Kelly frowned. Hale smirked. "We'll hold him until the feds arrive." Marcus's pulse quickened. The FBI would pull his file, see a ghost where a man should be, and someone would connect dots that should never exist. He was out of options. Within minutes, two more officers entered, one young and eager, the other a seasoned TSA agent named Morrison. Morrison took the chair across from Marcus, calm where Hale was aggressive. Mr. Bennett, Morrison began, "Let's keep this simple. Why don't you walk me through your trip?" Marcus adjusted his baseball cap. "Business meetings. Berlin, Vienna, Prague. 3 weeks. Returning home." Morrison raised an eyebrow but kept his tone even. "Berlin, Vienna, Prague. That's quite the itinerary. I travel a lot." Hale snorted from the corner. "Normal people don't remember their trips like that." Morrison shot him a look. "Officer Hale, step outside, please." Hale stormed out, slamming the door. Marcus almost smiled. "Mr. Bennett," Morrison continued, "your employer. Meridian Strategies. Strange not much about them online." Marcus's stomach dropped. That front company was classified. Morrison shouldn't even know it existed. "We're private," Marcus said, carefully measured. "Private," Morrison echoed. "So private that even my database has gaps." "Interesting." The temperature in the room shifted. Morrison wasn't a grunt, he was digging deep. "What kind of clients require that level of secrecy?" Marcus hesitated, then leaned back. "Sensitive clients, strategic planning, competitive analysis. Sensitive enough for a clearance," Marcus met his eyes. "Some projects, yes." The door opened again. This time an FBI agent entered, Assistant Director Sarah Lynn. Her tailored suit, the clipped tone of her voice, everything about her screamed authority. "Mr. Bennett," she said, sliding into Morrison's seat, "you have a problem. We found something in your bag." Marcus blinked. "What?" She placed a small black device on the table in an evidence bag. Recognition hit him like a bullet. A covert transmitter, one he'd used dozens of times, hidden in a compartment he didn't know existed. "That's not mine," Marcus said flatly. "Then who put it there?" He exhaled. "That's a good question." The air in the room grew heavier. Morrison and Kelly exchanged glances. Lynn leaned forward. "Who do you really work for?" Marcus looked her dead in the eye. "The United States government." The silence was deafening. Morrison sat straighter. Kelly froze. "What part of the government?" Lynn pressed. "The part you'll want to call before this gets worse." She studied him for a long beat, then slid a secure phone across the table. "One call. Make it count." Marcus dialed a number he'd memorized years ago. "This is Bennett," he said when the voice answered. "We have a problem. Reagan National Security Office 3. The voice of Deputy Director Camille Ross cut through. "Stay put. Don't say another word. 20 minutes. He hung up. "Help is coming," he said simply. 15 minutes later, black SUVs rolled up outside. The media, already buzzing from leaked footage of a black man being hauled off by white officers, swarmed the terminal. Airport racism was trending online. Reporters camped outside with cameras. Inside, Lynn's phone buzzed. She answered, her face pale. "Yes, sir." "Understood." She hung up and whispered, "That was the FBI director." "We're instructed to wait." Hale barged back in, breathless. "They're saying I'm a racist on Twitter." "I did my job." "Officer Hale," Marcus said quietly, "you played right into someone's hands." The room went silent. When Deputy Director Ross walked in, everything shifted. The woman carried herself like a storm. She glanced at Marcus and said, "Jonathan, you all right?" Morrison blinked. Lynn froze. Jonathan Ross smiled grimly. "Jonathan Bennett, Director of the Central Intelligence Agency." The silence could have cracked glass. Hale went white as a sheet. Kelly muttered, "Oh my God." Ross turned to Lynn. "This entire incident is now classified under the National Security Act. Everyone in this room will be debriefed." But Marcus wasn't listening to the chaos. He was staring at the evidence bag with the transmitter. CIA technology, planted to destroy him. Someone inside had betrayed him. The fallout was massive. Headlines raged about racial profiling at airports. But beneath the noise, an internal war erupted. Within months, an investigation revealed that a high-ranking CIA operative had orchestrated the entire setup to sabotage Marcus and seize control of his network. The betrayal cost lives. It almost destroyed his career. But Marcus didn't disappear. Instead, he became the face of reform, speaking before Congress, advocating for diversity training, in law enforcement tightening internal security protocols. The officer who'd profiled him hailed. He wasn't fired. He was retrained, reassigned, and forced to confront the biases that nearly ruined an innocent man's life. 6 months later, Marcus walked out of a Senate hearing to a line of reporters. "Do you regret that day?" one asked. He paused, smiled faintly. "I regret the betrayal. I regret the mistakes, but I don't regret what we learned from it." Now, every time he steps into an airport, Marcus sees curious glances and whispers, "Follow him." Not as a ghost, but as a man who forced a reckoning. So tell me, would you have stopped him too? Or would you have seen past the cap in the backpack? Drop your thoughts in the comments, share what you've seen, what you've felt about profiling justice and power. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you believe some stories need to be told, no matter how uncomfortable they are.